Hello, one person watching. This is a question that Vincent Bruno asked me before I did my previous stream even, and I thought to myself, what a good day I'm having, so many streams to make, so many questions to address, all very important, weighty, intellectual, religious ones, and I'm grateful that I get a chance to consider all these questions and can so easily share them with you thanks to YouTube. It really is an excellent platform. I find it really useful that, this is actually the age of a philosopher's paradise in a way. I mean, of course, I always complain that nobody listens to me, but boy, do we all get a chance to express ourselves, even within the constraints of the hate speech rules. And isn't it therapeutic to be able to say exactly what we mean? And isn't it tragic when people can't express themselves clearly, like John Vance, because his thoughts are confused and his itinerary, shall we say, is not clear. One of the most helpful things that I've been told that David is on Luke right now, so why don't we stream snipe Luke? Because I kind of want to talk about it, and I also kind of want to no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to deal straight with they'll just be talking about the coronavirus, I know, and they'll be saying nothing at all, and I just don't want to deal with that crap. They won't say anything. So those of you who want to go to Luke Ford's stream called Corona Stream, Stop Splunge, McMafia, go there. But I will continue to answer Vincent Bruno's question, and he asks, don't you think God is asking for impossible standards and then punishing Jews because they can never meet them? If you make the religion undesirable and then punish the Jews every time that they can't meet it, then that is a terrible existence. And I really have to thank Vincent in asking that great question, even though there's only apparently 2 people watching now. But I don't care, because doubtless people who are interested in the question will come back even when the stream is complete and you don't have the reason of coming to talk to your friends who are in the chat to make you come. Hello. Conops, no, I'm not streaming just for you. It went up to 5, now it's back to 4 again. I know people do watch it, and I know that for some reason my viewing figures and subscribers have been fucked around with by YouTube. I tried it on my main channel, and the numbers are just as few. So I don't know, maybe they do it just to, demoralise me, but I won't be demoralised, So to answer Vincent's question, and I'm going to paraphrase it to show that I understand it. Vincent is asking why God has created this religion that has such high standards that the people chosen to represent this religion will always fall short of it because it makes such impossible demands on them. And then they will become hypocritical and cunning and mendacious and make everyone hate them and pogrom them, and then God will protect them. But why is God playing this cruel joke on the Jews? On the one hand thinking, oh, but you're so specially privileged because you're God's chosen people, and then make life so difficult for them. Because the thing about Jews, whether you like them or not, is that they're always faced with this terrible dilemma. They're being told that they can do something, which is that they can be a good liberal and a good Jew. And but you see, their own powers of deduction to tell them that it is impossible, because you think Jews are supposed to be good at rules. They understand how rules operate, what they are, how they can get their way within any particular system of rules. You have a great start in life as a lawyer if you were born a Jew, because there's so many rules in Judaism, and you'll see people all around you trying to get round those rules. It's like, yeah, we have to do this, we know we're supposed to do this, everybody knows we're supposed to do this Sabbath thing and not eat pork, but we still want to have fun while we live, because we're not really sure that there is an afterlife. And so within that system of rules, some of them still do okay. But then there are different kinds of Jews who completely ignore the rules of their religion, Jews who try to follow it, like the ultra-Orthodox, those who follow some of it and not the others, which is the Orthodox, or the modern Orthodox. And then you have the Reformed Jew who thinks, well, we'll just update the Torah then, if it doesn't fit in with our lifestyle in Germany. And they got into terrible trouble over that, didn't they? Because the Nazis, the Germans got fed up with them and kicked them out and put them in camps and stuff, because they were so fed up with Jews and thought they were responsible for all the ills of government of the First World War and the armistice and all that. And I'll try and explain to you what I think happened and what... This goes back to a stream that I did earlier this month, I think on the 8th of March, which is about the connection between physical laws and moral laws. And I owe this to Jen Shah, who she is my muse in so many ways, even though she hates me and says terrible things about me, but she does raise a few questions, and this is one of what inspired me was I asked her this very question, and then I answered it myself, because she was always talking about physical laws, and I say, look, just because you know some physics doesn't mean you're fit to govern us. You actually know so little philosophy, you know virtually no history, and you're not even interested in politics. So why should you be our theocratic leader? And she could not. And then of course I said, well, what has moral laws got to do with physical laws? And she never answered it. And then in the end, I because there was a stage when I was trying to see things her way. Perhaps she was. She was proposing something that maybe would be good or whatever. So I tried to see things her way, and I thought, aha, this question that you couldn't answer, Jen, is something I can answer now. And you couldn't answer it because you have no knowledge of history or philosophy, and you're not even interested in politics. Not really. You're only using politics as a way of recruiting desperate young men with, low intellect or very low self-confidence to be influenced by you and be controlled and manipulated by you, and that's what she's still doing. I mean, even her weekend review yesterday, well, there was a moment when she, David gets bored with the usual thing, and he goes away and prepares a Greek salad. When it gets a bit too repetitive, and so Jen was left with Vincent, and they ran out of stuff to talk about. I mean, I could easily have fixed it for them if I were there, but Jen doesn't allow me anymore to appear on Week in Review, and she doesn't even allow me to post in the live chat in case I undermine her and her ridiculous idea, so I could only listen. And then when David finally came back, he was told off by Jen to tell him not to, leave her alone, carrying the show, talking to Vincent for so long. It's all rather sad. But anyway, I mean, if it had been me, then a lot of people would just want to come and attack me and talk about the stuff I want to talk about. And I think I am a little like the moon that circles the earth. She has a theory about that, She has a theory that it is only because the moon goes round the earth that all the water doesn't evaporate. It is one of her, cute little theories that are unfalsifiable, because, we will obviously in our lifetimes never get to the situation where the moon is no longer orbiting the earth and keeping the water on Earth. So anyway, I mean, she likes these pointless, unfalsifiable theories because it will entice people to argue with her, and and she generates conflicts, and she hopes that the drama generated by these conflicts will attract viewers, and then she can recruit. She'll be able to judge who is capable of being manipulated and controlled, and then recruit them to her cause. She tried to do that to me, But of course I forgive her, and I have vowed to show her, to give her unconditional love, because she is, in my view, the archetype of Western woman with, all her sense of entitlement, her status, her mindset, her vices, her power, and her desirability. And I think that's what makes David and Jen such a winning team. They get something out of each other because they are so chalk and cheese. Gentile and Jew, male and female. So I know where you've all gone. You've gone to see David on Luke's. What could they be saying except talking about the coronavirus in okay, this is what I predict that they'll be saying. They don't know what's happening, so that's why they're afraid, and they want to talk about it. The only way to get rid of our fears is to keep talking about it and share our fears with other people, but in the meantime you spread them and you cause alarm and panic. And because neither David nor Luke really believe in anything, they don't have a particular view to take about it. I mean, they can go to one extreme or the other, and I'm saying that my proposed course of action is not dependent on the outcome. Because it's a principled approach. Because I say that if you whether it is just a worse form of flu or the bubonic plague, we still have to keep calm and carry on. And when the government decides that it wants to keep calm and carry on, when it's tired of telling everyone to panic, they'll come to my point of view. I don't know who Nathan Bitch is. Aaron is saying that my channel has been killed because of it. I don't think so. You see, I don't judge my success on the number of people watching my live streams. I don't think that I should emulate Luke Ford. He may have more subscribers, but then they're all deadbeats, aren't they? They have no particular view, and they only go, his streams are really just places of entertainment. So people gather to be with each other for as long as the stream takes place, and that's it. He has no particular position on anything. Neither has Duvid. In fact, Duvid makes a point of not having a position on anything. That's why Duvid doesn't like talking to me. I know the people who have no position on anything will not want to talk to me. It's only when you want to have a position, when you already have a position that's against mine, that you want to argue with me, when you think you can still win the argument, like Jen did for a few months, or you just support me. So Koran-based, he likes, well, he's a vandal, so he'll go anywhere to try and undermine the ideas of others. But then my ideas are not easily undermined, and he hasn't a single idea, a counter argument, other than everything's going to turn to shit, so let's not do anything. That's all he's ever said. He has some intelligence, but he is using it as a vandal. Aaron is terrified of secular Koranism, even though he's Jewish, because he has a problem with Muslims, because he lives in Jerusalem and he knows that, Muslims want to kill Jews. So let's go back to the subject at hand, which is, why would God do such a thing? Why would God choose a people, give them almost impossible rules to live by, and then punish them for not following those rules? But the thing is, even though most Jews are liberal and most Jews are not observant, the very fact that the set of rules exist, and the very fact that Jews have a distinct identity keeps them in existence. So, although there may be people who deny that the Jews who call themselves Jews are really Jews, I mean, you get anti-Semites who say that they are no real Jews, and there's even this movement called the British Israelite movement, and it's also, well, Englishmen are Jews. It's really, really strange ideas. And it was only recently that I got to meet a few of them. They were quite nice, really. I mean, we could have a look at the British Israelite movement. But I guess they would be, what's the word? Supersessionist. I mean, in the sense that, it's all these, Christians saying, Jews are no longer the chosen people. We are. And so identity is very important, because it's only because Jews, after they were kicked out of Israel, managed to keep their identity for 2,000 years. And of course, it wasn't very nice. They were persecuted. But the point is, it was because they were persecuted that they got their homeland back. So I'm going to read you the British Israelism entry from Rational Wiki. British Israelism is a variant of fundamentalist Christianite theology based on pseudo-archaeology. In general, it claims the lost tribes of Israel migrated to the British Isles and were the ancestors of today's white British people. It was a popular theory in the early 20th century, at least in the UK, where it served as a theological pseudo-justification of the British Empire. It fell out of favour because the evidence for it is completely lacking. I mean, there was a song by, the song Jerusalem, the hymn, right? And it was a poem by William Blake, was it not? I'll eventually talk about Jews, but I feel I should allow, I should take you where my thoughts wander. Why does it say Emerson, Lake and Palmer? They were the ones who... Okay, what are the lyrics to Jerusalem? Who wrote the hymn? It was by William Blake. This is a Sun article, so it'll be not short and sweet. What are lyrics to Jerusalem? Who wrote the hymn? Is it England's national anthem, and what does it mean? William Blake's hymn Jerusalem has won hearts of the English, consistently emerging as a national favourite. But is it England's national anthem, and do you know the words? Here is the lowdown on the hearty hymn sung by England's athletes for the start of the Commonwealth Games. Is it England's national anthem? Sorry, I think the ad blocker kind of slows down the whole thing. Is it England's national anthem? We need your consent, blah, blah, blah. Is it England's national anthem? England doesn't actually have a national anthem at all, though the debate has raged in Parliament about what such a song should be. God Save the Queen is the national anthem for the UK and is often used for England too, but the strident, vivid Jerusalem seems to have won the hearts of the English, consistently emerging as the nation's favourite. So it was no surprise that in a public vote conducted by Team England in 2010 to decide the game's anthem, Jerusalem was backed by a 52% majority. Happily, athletes appear to be more familiar with the words than God Save the Queen. Another song that is often mistaken as the English national anthem is Land of Hope and Glory, written by Edward Elgar. A survey conducted by the BBC in 2006 showed that 55% of the English public thought it should be the nation's anthem. What are the Jerusalem lyrics? So many spelling mistakes in this article. It's so annoying. And it goes, what did those feet in ancient time walk upon? And did those feet in ancient time walk upon England's mountains green? And was the holy Lamb of God on England's pleasant pastures seen? And did the countenance divine shine forth upon our clouded hills? And was Jerusalem builded here among those dark satanic mills? Bring me my bow of burning gold, bring me my arrows of desire, bring me my spear, O clouds unfold, bring me my chariots of fire. I will not cease from mental fight, nor shall my sword sleep in my hand, till we have built Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land. Who wrote the hymn and what does it mean? The hymn originated as a poem written by William Blake, who penned the words as the preface to his epic Milton, a poem in 2 books. The date of composition isn't known, but it was printed in 1808 and likely to have been written around 5 years earlier. The music was added more than a century later by composer Sir Hubert Parry in 1916. In the most common interpretation of the poem, Blake implies that a visit by Jesus would have briefly created heaven in England in contrast to the dark, satanic mills of the Industrial Revolution. The poem was inspired by an apocryphal story that a young Jesus, accompanied by Joseph of Arimathea, a tin merchant, travelled to what is now England and visited Glastonbury during his unknown years. The theme is linked to the book of Revelation, describing a second coming wherein Jesus establishes a new Jerusalem. The poem was not made popular until it was published in a patriotic anthology of verse in 1916. At a time when morale was sinking due to horrendous casualties in World War I, and Blake's dark yet hopeful poem was seen as an appropriate background to brace the spirit of the nation to accept with cheerfulness all the sacrifices necessary. Since it was adopted as a hymn, the patriotic stirring nature of the hymn has been used for a number of political means. It was used as a campaign. Sorry, something's happened to the thing. It was used as a campaign slogan by the Labour Party in the 1945 general election when Clement Attlee said they would build a new Jerusalem. It has been sung at conferences at the Conservative Party and the Glee Club of the British Liberal Assembly, the Labour Party, and by the Liberal Democrats. Well, I think there's more than a hint of British Israelism in that hymn. So yeah, of course it's harking back to the British Empire. Okay, key beliefs of the British Israelite. That the white British alone fulfill the prophecies of the Israelites as listed in the Old Testament. Two-house theology, the belief that while Jews, Ashkenazi, Sephardi are lineal descendants of the tribe of Judah, that the other tribes of Israel are not Jewish but are white British and sometimes surrounding peoples. Another key tenet is the view that the House of Israel, i.e. the 10 lost tribes, never returned to the Kingdom of Israel after the Assyrian invasion and captivity in the 8th century BC, but were taken into Assyria, where eventually they moved into Britain. That the British monarchy descends from King David. An apostolic origin of the British Church. British Israelites believe that many of the apostles visited Britain, that the English language is of Hebrew derivation. It goes on to say, most British Israelites are merely eccentric and not particularly racist. The exception is Christian identity, an explicitly white supremacist variant of British Israelism popularised among the Ku Klux Klan and related groups during the 20th century. Christian identity extends British Israelism beyond merely being about the British to include all the so-called white race, Germanic, Celtic, Slav, Italic, Caucasian, Aryan, etc. It also adds anti-Semitic beliefs not shared by most British Israelites, claiming that the Jews are impostors to the claim of descent from the Israelites and are actually descended from converts from the Khazar tribe or the children of the devil. Tut tut. The 1900 book, Judah's Scepter and Joseph's Birthright by J.H. Allen is a British Israelist tract that is cited by scholars as one of the reasons why US British supremacists discovered British Israelism and twisted it into the explicitly racist Christian identity theology. So there you go. I do mix in such exalted circles, don't I? Hello, Vincent. I'm so glad you turned up, because I'm just about to return to the question that you asked me, and I will repeat it for the benefit of people who have just arrived, such as Vanadium and AE. So the question Vincent asked was, don't you think God is asking for impossible standards and then punishing Jews because they can never meet them? If you make the religion undesirable and then punish the Jews every time they can't meet it, then that is a terrible existence. But we can give God the credit, if he exists, of knowing what he is doing. So what could be the purpose of letting Jews exist and suffer? A Prometheus comes to mind when you think of the immortal, who are nevertheless made to suffer. So, people may say, oh, I want to live forever, and they might even be granted their wish, but, when they're granted it, may not be what they want. So I seem to remember that Prometheus had an unusual story, and the story is that he was immortal, and he defied the god. Okay, let me just read it from the beginning. In Greek mythology, Prometheus, possibly meaning forethought, is a titan, culture hero, and trickster figure who is credited with a creation from clay, who defies the gods by stealing fire and giving it to humanity as civilization. Prometheus is known for his intelligence and as champion of humankind, and also seen as the author of the human arts and sciences generally. He is sometimes presented as the father of Deucalion, the hero of the flood story. The punishment of Prometheus as a consequence of the Prometheus as a consequence of the theft is a major theme of his, and is a popular subject both ancient and modern. Zeus, king of the Olympian gods, sentenced a titan to eternal torment for his transgression. The immortal was bound to a rock where each day an eagle, an emblem of Zeus, was sent to eat Prometheus's liver, which would then grow back overnight to be eaten again the next day. In ancient Greece, the liver was often thought to be the seat of human emotions. Prometheus was eventually freed by the hero Heracles, or Hercules to some of you. In another myth, Prometheus establishes the form of animal sacrifice practiced in ancient Greek religion. Evidence of a cult to Prometheus himself is not widespread. He was the focus of religious activity mainly at Athens, where he was linked to Athena and Hephaestus, I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly, other Greek deities of creative skills and technology. In Western classical tradition, Prometheus became a figure who represented human striving, particularly the quest of scientific knowledge, and the risk of overreaching or unintended consequences. In particular, he was regarded in the Romantic era as embodying the lone genius whose efforts to improve human existence could also result in tragedy. Mary Shelley, for instance, gave the modern Prometheus as a subtitle to her novel Frankenstein. The etymology of the theonym Prometheus is debated. The classical view is that it signifies forethought, as that of his brother Epimetheus denotes afterthought. Hesychius of Alexandria gives Prometheus a variant name of Ethos, and adds whom all others call Ithax, and describes him as the herald of the Titans. Koranism remarks that these names are not transparent and may be different readings of the same name, while the name Prometheus is descriptive. It has also been theorized that it derives from the Proto-Indo-European root that also produces Vedic pramath, to steal, hence pramatyu, thief, cognate with Prometheus, the thief of fire. The Vedic myth of fire is theft by blah 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 blah. Alright. So the Jews are a bit like Prometheus, okay? Mystery sorted, right? I wonder if any rabbi has said anything similar. Aren't I clever for explaining to you why the role of Jews, really, of overreaching themselves? You've heard the expression, surely, some of you anyway, of somebody being too clever by half. Vincent says, oh my God, the Jews are Prometheus. Yeah. I mean, and all that Luke Ford, what is he saying now? What is he saying that is even useful or relevant or sustainable? What? I can just tell from the chat, I'll just read the chat and I can tell that nobody's listening. Okay, I know Korean Man is there. What's he doing? What's he posting? He's posting more of his conspiracy theory shit. Yeah. Elliot's there. Okay, I'm even going to scroll as far as I can go to find out what they've been talking about without listening to them. They're all talking their own shit. They're not listening to what they're saying at all. It's like they just want to endlessly speculate about who might have caused the coronavirus, even though they must know that they'll never know. And of course, Duvid is saying, oh dear, Jews seem particularly susceptible to the coronavirus. Oh dear. I think that they're just using the coronavirus to, get a few more subscribers, while not saying anything useful, and just, endless scaremongering, speculation. I'm still scrolling down the chat. Nothing. It's just, I think it was caused by this, I think it was caused by that. And they're talking about vaping and complaining about the Chinese. Hysterical reaction. Somebody saying, getting on a plane when you know you have it is mass murder. Well, do people know they have it? Or do they think, oh, I've just got a bit of a cold, damn it, why can't I get on the plane? Well, you shouldn't really even get on the plane if you have a cold, but I don't know what the procedure is. Do they say you can't fly if you have a bit of a cold? Well, I can't see anything sensible that I've missed. So you're actually, better off here. Because it'll just be, well, pointless speculation. Some of the talk goes to let the unfit fail, let them go. I already said all that anyway. Complaining about Jews. Okay, pointless gossip. Well, you're better off here, even though you're not so many. So thank you, Vincent, for your further question, saying, so the Jewish God is punishing the Jews for bringing his knowledge to the non-Jews. No, I'm saying that they have in their quest for scientific knowledge, for any kind of knowledge, they risk overreaching or unintended consequences. Okay, that's just go to the Wikipedia entry talking about Prometheus. So I'll reread that bit. In the Western classical tradition, Prometheus became a figure who represented human striving, particularly the quest for scientific knowledge and the risk of overreaching or unintended consequences. In particular, he was regarded in the Romantic era as embodying the lone genius whose efforts to improve human existence could also result in tragedy. Mary Shelley, for instance, gave the modern Prometheus as a subtitle to a novel, Frankenstein. Is that okay? Am I finally getting my point through? So, I don't need to talk anymore, do I? I've kind of made it, haven't I? So I'll I've got another question in Hangout. So Vincent says, you are saying God uses the Jews to make an example for the rest of the world, so the Jew are the whipping boy. So the Jewish God is punishing the Jews for bringing his knowledge to non-Jews. Okay, my perception of God's attitude towards Jews is this. He's saying, well, I've given you an identity, and one of your identities, apart from being the chosen people, is that the word Israel means wrestling with God. Okay, so they're supposed to question the laws of God. They have the ability to interpret God's laws, because obviously, you would expect that, because the Jews are the people who've been worshipping the Abrahamic God longer than any one of us, and if they still exist, they must retain some sort of genetic inheritance that makes them better able at interpreting God's laws. And I'm also saying that even if they weren't, that the fact that you grow up in this kind of environment where there are plenty of rules will just make you more intelligent anyway. And obviously God would punish them for not following the rules or following the rules incorrectly. And one of the things that Orthodox and ultra-Orthodox Jews say about Reform Jews is that, well, okay, you really should know that Orthodox Jews are not supposed to marry Reform Jews. And, if you're a Jew and you meet somebody, if you meet a Reform Jew and you want to marry him or her, he or she will have to convert to Orthodox Judaism. That is the separation between Orthodox Jews and Reform Jews. And there is a school of thought in Judaism that says the reason why the Germans were provoked into their pogrom was the fact that German Jews assimilated too much. So that's something to bear in mind. I know it's an unpopular view that, probably quite a lot of Jews now won't even talk about. They'll just say, oh yeah, we did used to think that once upon a time, but we didn't think it anymore, and we're not really supposed to even talk about it. But the fact is that lots of Orthodox Jews think that. It's like, we're not supposed to assimilate. That is the whole point, and that's really the whole point of all the things that we do, that we don't eat pork, that we keep the Sabbath, we fuss around with our food, and we just make our existence irritating, insufferable to anybody else trying to lead a normal goyish life. And these rules are intended to keep us together and apart from others. Right down to the rule of not driving to synagogue on the Sabbath. Not allowed to. They're supposed to walk there, which means they're supposed to live amongst other members of their community, that every Jew would be just walking distance from every other Jew, which is why they are required to walk to synagogue every Saturday. So once you know the reasons for these rules, you'll totally get it that they're not supposed to assimilate. And fortunately or unfortunately, it was the French Revolution that made Christians. Okay, the French Revolution was not just against their king, it was against the Catholic Church. People don't seem to realise that. It's almost impossible to talk to people, really. It's like, it's your history, but you don't know anything about it. So, the French Revolution was a reaction against the tyranny of the stupidity of the government of Louis XIV. He was indebted. We are indebted too. Western governments are over their heads in debt. And of course they will blame it on Jews, because Jews are the world's, oldest usurers, right? But we don't have to put up with that. So the French Revolution meant that the established order that was supported by the Catholic Church, they were beheaded, basically. Church property was sold off, looted, and it became very dangerous to be a Catholic. So anti-clericalism is a feature of the French Revolution. Anyway, that after the French Revolution came a military leader called Napoleon, and he eventually became the Emperor of France until he overreached himself and ended up exiled and died in exile. After once escaping and coming back to start another war. And it was under Napoleon that it was decided that Jews should be emancipated from the hatred of Christianity, because one of the unstated goals of the French Revolution was that it rejected the religion of their executed king, Catholicism. So they did experiment with religion, these French revolutionaries, and you can tell the extent of their revolutionary fervour by the fact that they they nearly drove themselves mad by inventing different weights and measures and inventing a different calendar. And then they couldn't stand it anymore and they went back to the old calendar. But what we have to remember is that they also experimented with religion, and they started off with a cult of reason, and they just couldn't get that started. Nobody was interested, and then they tried, surprise to surprise, a cult of the supreme being. So, it's like eventually even the French revolutionaries went back to God. Because what I'm also saying is that we need the idea of a hypothetical supreme being to order our thoughts and to order the priorities of the actions we take. So I'm saying we need it anyway. We need, because we need principles, and we need to show that we have principles and that we stick to them in order to impress upon other people that we are good people who can be trusted, who can be trusted to tell the truth and exercise logic and adhere to the principles that they say they have. And this is necessary because the principles that most act upon our conscience and consciousness would be religious principles. And religious principles will also allow other people to judge us by our actions. So if we claim to be a Jew or a Muslim, then we better not be seen eating pork. And if we are, eating pork, gambling, and doing all the things that our religion tells us we mustn't do, then they'll have an idea of what kind of Jew or Muslim that we are. So if you talk to somebody who claims to be Christian or identifies with Christianity, and you realise that they don't even believe in the Trinity, or they don't even know they're supposed to believe in the Trinity, then you might conclude that they're a bit stupid and ignorant of their own religious traditions, which they are. And that's why, that would be another reason to conclude that Christianity is kaput. So what about these Muslims? These Muslims, they never talk about chapter 2, verse 256, do they? They always talk about other things. It just shows, their sense of priorities. And yes, I am indeed saying that my interpretation of the Quran is better than theirs, because their interpretation hasn't got them anywhere, has it? Well, they can prove that their interpretation is better. They can insist that their interpretation is better, but for some reason they're not engaging with me. I wonder why. I think they're afraid of losing the argument. That's why, people like Aaron in the chat posting shit about me has, availed himself of the fact that I let him post in my chat. Well, he forbids me from posting in his chat. I would allow him to join me in my stream while he refuses to let me join him in his stream. So it's not exactly an level playing field, is it? And the fact that I allow you to do these things shows my confidence in being able to deal with all comers. That's why I allow Jen to continue posting in my streams. I don't delete her comments, but she deletes mine. And what does it show? It just shows that they're afraid of me. They're afraid of my arguments because they don't think that they can win the debate. So all they are left with is a tactical, the tactical way of not engaging with me, and thereby depriving me of the oxygen of publicity. Cookies 2050 says Islam is also kaput if you look at Mecca lately. What about Mecca do you want me to look at? Just say it. I know they're all at Luke Ford And what is Luke 4 saying? Can I tell just from reading the chat alone? Well, nothing of any particular import. So I will go back to completing my answer, or have I already completed it? I'm just repeating myself. I'm basically saying that I can defeat all the arguments against me, but because nobody cares about truth, logic, and morality, or are able to concede when they have lost the argument or don't have an argument at all, and this is a sense of moral degeneracy. So, Cookies, have you been able to say why you think? Just actually say what you say in a sentence with subject and verb, because it's not clear why you think Islam is kaput. So Barrett Champion says we need Vincent for content. I don't want to attract another strike. And there's really no need anyway, because I want to do something else. I've been talking all day long, it feels. And if any of you were really serious about your ideas, you come back and post what you want to say to me in complete sentences, which you can edit in the comments under the video, but you can't be bothered because you're basically unfocused losers who can't string a sentence together. So Colops is back saying French revolutionaries were mainly deists or not atheists. Well, we don't know. It doesn't really matter. The point is that they experimented with religion, and they first experimented with a cult of reason, and then they thought it wasn't working, and they thought they'd try and create another religion and started a cult of the supreme being, and then before going back to Christianity. But you can tell from the chat that none of you are capable of a single coherent thought. Of course I should be talking to people better and higher up than you, capable of making some sort of coherent counter-argument, but nobody cares about these things anymore. They just think that they can ignore truth, logic and morality until it blows up in their faces. Anyway, I have answered Vincent's question in that Jews are they represent Prometheus, who was given the gift of immortality. But that doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy your eternal life. So have a think about that, and thank you all for listening.